Today we're going to be talking about how to multiply polynomials, okay? So if you remember when we first learned to distribute, if you have a number that's outside of the parentheses, you're going to multiply it to everything that's inside of the parentheses. So this would mean that we were going to have 2 times 3x squared minus 2 times 6x plus 2 times 7. Okay, so 2 times 3x squared would give us 6x squared. 2 times 6x would give us 12x. And then 2 times 7 would give us 14. Okay, and we did the same thing even if it had a variable with it, right? So we distributed it to everything that was inside the parentheses. And this would be the same as 3x times negative 4x squared plus 3x times 8. Okay, so 3x times negative 4x squared, you multiply the things that are like terms. So we're going to multiply this 3 and that negative 4, and that's going to give us a negative 12. Okay, and then we're going to multiply our x times x squared, which is the same thing as x times x times x, right? 1x times x squared is x times x. So that's going to give us x to the third power, okay? Plus 3x times 8. So 3 times 8 is 24. Then we have our x there at the back of that, okay? So now we're going to say, well, what are we going to do if we have two different polynomials that we are multiplying by? So there's actually two different ways, similar to when we did adding and subtracting, and these, there's not a, it's just your preferred method, okay? So the box method, what we do is we draw a box, okay? And you draw your boxes based off of how many you have. So we have two, this is a binomial, we have two terms in the first set and then two terms in the second. So we are going to draw a 2 by 2 box like this. Okay. The top or the first expression goes on the top. So we have our 3x and then our 4. We don't need to put our plus. We just are going to, let that go. If it was a minus 4, we would put that as a negative right here. Okay. 2x and then plus 5. So we have 2x and we have a 5. So this is going to be similar to a Punnett square that you might see in biology, and it follows that exact same pattern. Okay. So 2x times 3x, 2 times 3 is 6. X times x is x squared. Okay, 2x times 4, well, 2 times 4 is 8. Then we have our x at the back. 5 times 3x, 5 times 3 is 15. Then we have our x at the back, and then 5 times 4 is 20. Okay, so whenever you are getting these numbers into the square, we are multiplying, right? We multiply to get all of those numbers inside. To get them out, we add, and what we need to add is the like terms. The like terms are always going to be diagonal in our box, okay? These two diagonal boxes are always going to be our like terms, and that's what we're going to need to combine to get it out, right? So that's 6x squared. There's no like terms. We leave that by itself, 6x squared, okay? And then we have this combination right here. So 15x plus 8x, which is going to give us 23x. And then we have our plus 20. If any of these were negative values, then we would do a minus, but since all these are positive, we're going to leave that as a plus. Okay, so just as a little kind of cheat sheet, if you're having a hard time understanding what I did, okay, this would be our A, this would be our B, let's see, C, and D. So what I did was I multiplied these. So C times A was my first one. So that would give me C in here and A in here like this, okay? That is that multiplication problem. And then I did C times B, all right? So I still have my C here, and then I would multiply that by the second term, which was my B term. Then I would drop down and I would do D times A, okay? So I'm just showing you this to get you used to the pattern in case you're confused about where any of those numbers came from, and then D times B, right? So my D value, whatever that number is, and then my B was next, okay? and then you're always going to have the diagonal as like terms. So the second method that you can use is called the vertical method. Some teachers use what they call the line method, but you can use either one. Sorry. So I like to stack them up. Okay, so we just stack up 3x plus 4 and then 2x plus 5. Okay, and then you just multiply these like you would do a regular multiplication problem. Okay, so you would do 5 times 4, which is 9. Excuse me, that's so silly. 5 times 4 is 20, multiplying, not adding. Okay, 5 times 3x, okay? 5 times 3x is 15x, okay? Then we would drop down, just like when you do regular multiplication, you have to put the 0 there. That is for that placeholder. And then we move over, 2x times 4 is 8x, okay? 2x times 3x is 6x squared. Then we draw our line, just like regular multiplication, and we add 6x squared plus 23x plus 20. Okay, so you can use whichever one you like, the vertical method or the box method. I'm just probably going to be switching back and forth between each one on each of our examples. Okay, so let's look at this first example. Okay, I'm going to use the box method for this one. So I'm going to draw my 2 by 2 box. 5x plus 1, 7x minus 3. See, I'm going to bring that negative 3 down since that was a minus 3. Okay, and I follow my pattern. 7x times 5x is 35x squared. 7x times 1 is 7x. Negative 3 times 5x is negative 15x. Negative 3 times 1 is negative 3, okay? Remember, we multiply to get all of these numbers into the box, which we already did, but we have to add to get them out. Our like terms are always diagonal. They're always these two diagonal boxes right here, okay? So we have 35x squared, and then we're going to combine our next term, okay? Negative 15x plus 7x is going to give us negative 8x minus 3, okay? That is our final answer. Now I'll come over here. We will do the vertical method for this one, okay? 2x minus 4, and then x plus 9, okay? 9 times 4 is 36. 9 times 2x is 18x. I put my 0 here as my placeholder. X times negative 4 is negative 4x. X times 2x is 2x squared. Okay, then I go ahead and combine 2x squared. 18x minus 4x is 12. Oh, 4, my bad. Plus 14x plus 36. Like that. Okay, moving on down. And don't forget, you can use the box method or the vertical method. Either one will work every time. It doesn't matter. You can just choose whichever one that you like best, whichever one you prefer. Okay. Looking at number 5, if we use the box method here, this is a 3 by 2. So what I need to do is I need to draw my box so that it has 3 boxes on the top. Okay, so I have a squared minus 4a plus 5. Then over on the side, I have a 3a and a 6. Okay, this is going to be the same. I'm going to use this 3a, and I'm going to go all the way across the top, multiplying each of those terms. Then I'm going to drop down to my 6 and do the same thing all the way across the top. Okay, 3a times a squared is going to be 3a to the third power. Okay, this is like the same thing as 3 times a times a times a, right? So 3, and then we have 3a, so that gives us that a to the third power. This, remember, this has like an invisible exponent of 1. So when you're multiplying these, what you're really doing is you're adding those exponents, right? 3a times negative 4a is negative 12a squared. 3a times 5 is going to be 15a. Drop down, 6 times a squared will be 6a squared. 6 times negative 4a will be negative 24a, and then 6 times 5 will be 30, okay? So same thing, remember we multiply to get these numbers in and we add to get them out, but our diagonals are always like terms, remember? And here I have two sets of diagonals. So when I'm combining like terms, I actually have to do that 2 times, right? So I'm going to have my 3a to the third, it has no like terms, but then I have negative 12a squared and 6a squared. So that's going to give me positive 6a squared, then negative 24 plus 15, right? So that's going to give me negative 9a, and then I have my plus 30, okay? So that will be my final answer, right? Then let's slide over here. And we'll do a 3 by 2 vertically. So we have 6x squared plus 9x minus 4. And then I have my 4x minus 7, right? So negative 7 times negative 4 is positive 28, okay? Negative 7 times 9 is going to give me negative 63x. Negative 7 times 6 is going to give me negative 42x squared, right? Now I have my placeholder and I drop down. 4x times negative 4 is negative 16x. 4x times 9x is 36x squared. And 4x times 6x squared gives me 24x to the third power, okay? So then I draw my line to combine. I have 28, 63 minus 16. Remember, if we have two negative numbers, that's like the same thing as adding them. So that would end up being negative 79x, okay? Negative 42x squared, and then 36x squared. Since the signs are opposite there, it's like we're subtracting. Okay, so that would give me negative 6x squared, and then I have my 24x to the third. Okay, so let me my plus since that's a positive. That would be our final answer. Okay, now just as one last type of example, you need to make sure that if it says something like this, 3y plus 2 squared, this is the same thing as 3y plus 2 times 3y plus 2, okay? So you cannot just square the 3y and square the 2, okay? You're going to be missing a whole middle term if you do that, right? So I'm going to use the box method, 3y and 2, 3y and 2. 3y times 3y is 9y squared, and 3y times 2 is 6y. Again, 6y, 2 times 2 is 4, okay? Remember, we add to get these into our box, excuse me, we multiply to get them into the box, but we have to add to get them out. So our diagonals that we have right here have to be added, okay? So let's drop down, 9y squared plus 12y plus 4, okay? That'll be our final answer. And then this last example, this is called a difference of squares. It means it has the same terms, 6x and 4, but one of them is a plus and one of them is a minus. So what that causes, I'm going to show you in our box, 6x plus 4, and then we have our 6x minus 4. So this would be 36x squared. 6x times 4 is 24x. Negative 4 times 6x is going to be negative 24x, right? Then negative 4 times 4 is negative 16. So remember, we multiply to get these into the box and add to get them out. And we need to add our like terms, which are always going to be diagonal. But if you notice here, right, these are going to cancel out. 24x minus 24x is 0. So if you have this difference of squares set up, this middle term is going to cancel out, and that is okay, right? So when you have it, it's going to be 36x squared then minus 16, okay? And this is going to end up being 0. So just be on the lookout for that. It's totally fine for that to happen, but in the case that these are the same terms, and we have that plus 4 and then the minus 4, it is going to cause the middle term to cancel out.